Weekly outlook. So today is Monday, the 4th of April. So first Monday of the new month. March overall, I found to be fairly quiet, somewhat messy in the market. Still some very good trades in the market, but overall it was definitely much more quiet. A lot of fake outs. We had the whole Russia-Ukraine situation kick off at the beginning of March, which really kind of made the markets a little bit funny from there. But definitely overall a profitable month, but just a bit more manipulation. I had a lot of people message me about it, which is why I kind of didn't post many videos because there wasn't really much happening across many pairs. While there are some pairs like GJ, for example, which made like huge moves, and there's other pairs that didn't really do much. So currently in the mentorship program, so today's Monday, we've taken 3 trades today, which is just crazy. Usually, 3 to 4 trades is what we take in a week. Today, again, I just trade what I see. I don't have any, limit to what trades I take. I take trades based off my trading plan and price action. And today we ended up taking 3 trades. The first one being GJ, which is now risk-free. And then we have 2 other trades running on GU and UCAD. So hopefully we can see some really nice moves. Really looking forward to this week. Very clean price action ahead, it looks like. I believe the market's going to return to normal. And we should see some really healthy sort of movement going forward. So let's have a look at the pairs I cover here. So CAD JPY, let's have a look. So we know that CAD JPY has been on this huge bullish run, right? Just has not stopped. Again, since everything that kicked off with the whole Russia-Ukraine situation with the Japanese yen being a safe haven, we saw a huge push into the JPY, and therefore pairs like CAD JPY went skyrocketed. CAD JPY at all-time highs. Like, we've just not stopped. I'm kind of leaning more towards seeing a lot of JPY pairs pull back coming into this week. Actually, coming into this month, I do see more of a corrective phase for it. Obviously, they're still very bullish, but I do right now favor more of a pullback on Japanese pairs such as CAD JPY, GJ, things like that. So what I'd be looking for here is CAD JPY is really struggling to break above this 98.2, 98.5 region. If this was to maybe come back up, if you aren't in it already, I know a few of you, or even a few students have already messaged you saying they've taken a trade here. If this can come back up and give a bit more rejection, I would be looking for a possible sell. But keep in mind, it would need to break below. Honestly, the ideal scenario here is if you got to sell here, you could then look for a break and a retest of this 97.8, 97.8 region here, and then we could look to take this lower. I mean, this has a lot of room to go down. I mean, look, this has just been on a rocket since the beginning of March. So I'd be looking. I don't think it's going to come all the way back down here. We might see it come back down to 97, maybe even 96. But it could still be a nice little corrective move if it can break this level. Otherwise, as always, there's always 2 scenarios here. We never married to a bias with how I trade. If this was to break higher like this, you'd simply be looking for a retest of that 98, 200 region like that. However, I just want to iterate that looking at this, looking at other pairs that are correlated with this, I definitely do favor a push lower on this level, on this pair. So we'll see what we get this week, and I'll come back to that on Wednesday. Australian dollar. So really just kind of ranging last week. As I said, really, there were a lot of pairs last month that really didn't do much. This would be one of them. Pretty much from the 20th to kind of the end of the month, it was just moving sideways in a small little range. Now we've had a push up into 0.755. Now, if you remember back from one of the weekly outlooks back in March, I called 0.75 back in March and February, which it's now hit. So, if I gave heaps of buy setups all through here, so you guys could have just been riding all of this all the way up into 0.75. That'd be a lot of profit made right there. So what I'd be looking for here is I'd be looking for this to come back down, retest this 0.75, sort of 200, 250 region like this, and be looking for a buy. However, just keep in mind this could be a fake out. I have a feeling this might be a fake out into 0.755, and we might actually see this do something like this. If you see this sort of lining up, be looking for sells off 0.75, sort of 250, 400 region, anywhere in here. Otherwise, if you see this was to come down, give lots of bullish price action, a lot of wicking to the downside, pin bars, patterns, things like that. You could be looking for a buy off of this region here to take this up into possibly into 0.58 and then 0.76. That would be my sort of overall target. But I do expect, again, look at the higher time frames. I do expect to see this come down, but I mean, it's just so bullish. You know, I do think we'll see this 0.76 region hit if before it makes a move down. So looking like a very clean break and retest to go higher. It really does. So make sure you're watching that. That looks like it can line up for maybe London session tomorrow, maybe New York. It needs a bit of price action, so we'll see what that does, and I'll come back to that on Wednesday. Next one I want to cover is Euro JPY. So again, with JPY pairs, I am overall have more of an outlook of a pullback coming into this week. So seeing a lot of exhaustion on the daily. Again, it needs a slight corrective move. You know, we've had this huge move up on JPY pairs from the beginning of March, as I said. So what I'd be looking for here is if this can come back up and retest this 134 sort of 800 region, I'd be looking for a sell and see if we can break this level. Now, if it can break this level, we could see this have a huge move down to 131 and then 130, if not even lower than that. But that's, you know, that's off in the future. What I'd really be looking for is if you can get sell down into 133 sort of 5, and then from there, if you see the price action, you could actually look to hedge this up into the highs again, maybe back up into 136, 137 region like this. So, you know, you can get like a little 100 pips sell down into here, and if you see the price action, you could maybe close most of that position, take the buy, and that way if the buy was to lose, you know, you could then have the position running for the sell, and you continue to profit off the either way. If the buy was to play out, you profit. If the sell was to play out, you profit off the sell. So that's what I'd be looking for, is a retest of this structure here. But just keep in mind, overall, right now, I am favoring a more deeper pullback on JPY pairs. So, you know, you could even see this, like this play out like this, a retest, break, retest, and go down to that, you know, that 131 level. Next pair I want to cover, GA. I really like this coming this week. A lot of price action is needed, but this is looking very, very clean. So this broke below 1.745. So what I'd be looking for is I'd be looking for this to come back up, retest for a move lower. So this also gives some sort of confluence to pairs like NZD, USD, AUD, USD going higher. But this is lining up to be very, very nice. For a move back up, retest this structure, and then we can look for this to come down to 1.73 region down here would be ideal. So something like this. So that's what I'd be looking for, is this to come up and retest. Now, of course, if this was to, you know, fail to stay below this 1.745, you could simply look for a break, a retest up into this 1.75 sort of a 800 region up here. But that, I mean, that's still a lot of price action. So that, if anything, based on the price action needed, you're probably looking at a Wednesday setup for that. So by the time I put the weekly outlook out, you're probably looking at a Wednesday if that was to break higher. But this is lining up very nicely for possibly tomorrow. So make sure you're watching this. This is very, very textbook, very, very easy setup here. We'll do one more. I'll do gold. I get a lot of questions on gold. So right now, gold is very, very sideways. Again, sort of difficult to trade this right now, you know, unless you're experienced at it because of everything going on in the world. But this is, I mean, this is probably the easiest way, the easiest setup on gold I've seen in a long time, because it's very much in a range. So all you have to do is, as I always say in every video, is when you're in a range, trade the range, okay? So right now it's floating between structure. I'd be looking for this to come back down, test structure here, and if it begins to respect, if you see the bullish exhaustion, all the bullish price action, you could look for a buy up into this into this 1950 region. And then if it fails to break higher just by looking for the price action, you could look to take partials, close most of the buy, and look for a possible hedge sell back down into here. Because if you keep trading the range, eventually you're going to catch the breakout move to the upside or the downside, and you'll be able to profit from either direction because you have buys and sells running. So for example here, you know, just, I'm not going to give exact entries, but you could have taken a buy here, and then you could have taken a sell here. Obviously not these size stop losses. And then you would have profited from both. And then, for example, here, you would have taken the buy here. And you see it failed to stay above. Test the structure over here. So technically, you probably could have got a sell from over here. Just as an example, something like that. And then again, faked out, came back tested. You could probably go to buy and then go to sell and then go to buy. It's just that simple. Like it's setups galore on this on gold right now. So as for news, as you guys know, I don't really pay attention to news, but I just want to make you guys aware. I think the only thing I'm aware of this week is FOMC minutes on Wednesday coming out of the U.S. Otherwise, there's really not much else here we need to be aware of. Obviously, guys, understand the market conditions. Everything going on in the world right now with Ukraine and Russia, that definitely affects the markets. So just make sure you are using risk management. Make sure you're using stop losses. And, don't overtrade. Don't be impatient. Let the market come to you. Have a great week, guys. I'll update again on Wednesday with another midweek update. And I hope you all have a fucking great week.